Good evening, viewers. It is Friday the 20th of August, 8 o'clock Aussie time, Sydney time, and I think it's around 12 o'clock Vienna time. So tonight we got Sam Rulz, someone from the Southern Hemisphere now living in the Northern Hemisphere. It's going to be a good one, so let's get into it and see what the weather's like in lovely Vienna. So I'm just going to invite Sam in and come up with tonight. Hope everyone's well. All the usual stuff. Some tough days and tough news, but you know, Sam!
Here I am!
Mate, electric! Go you!
Yes.
Oh, here we go.
It's just a little
Here we go. I feel like I should have done my own makeup tonight.
Me too, but I mean,
Yeah.
for some people it's important, other ones it's not.
Well, you know. How you doing anyway?
Really good. It's a beautiful day today. It's been chilling a bit, but today's another sunny day.
Yeah, cool. What's the temperature in degrees?
I don't know. I'd have to ask the internet.
Oh, lovely.
30 something. It's nice.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
I think we were in the low 20s here today in Sydney, so it was pretty cool. Pretty good.
Right. You were in the
Pretty
tail
good.
end of summer.
Yeah, nice. I dare say, are you at the studio or you're at home?
No, I'm at home,
or...
but it looks identical.
Amazing. Hey, this is my home and it's, same.
Yes, full of stuff.
So, yeah. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. You're our first international guest.
I'm so excited!
So, yeah, all good. But you guys are cruising. Things are relatively free over there now.
Yeah, they've rolled out the vaccine, which is great. We can still
Amazing.
work, which is great. There's like a bit of traveling and they've really kind of got their stuff together, but it's all just kind of waiting and seeing and just kind of enjoying things as long as we can before things change again. We just don't know.
Yeah. We're in the vaccine drive and everyone's taking it up, which is good. So hopefully we've got, what you guys are doing now, not too far away. Hey, 1 minute. I've just had an intruder. I'm going to introduce you to someone. Hey. Oh, that wasn't cat abuse.
Yes!
This is my son, George.
He's so fancy.
Come on, mate. Say hi.
Hi, George.
So, yeah, cool. All right. So you've seen a few of these. Thanks for commenting on them and all that sort of stuff. So now it's your turn. So what was your first ever tattoo?
So weird. It's on my big toe.
Here we go.
Oh God, not really yoga. This on my big toe. So bizarre.
Nice.
But I did want a giant tribal on my lower back, but my mum wouldn't let me. Thank God.
Yep.
So I started with that, and I got it
Mum.
in Rarotonga in the Cook Islands.
Mad. Wow.
Every holidays.
Yep.
And I miss it a lot. It's been a long time since I was there. I think I was 20 last time.
Yep.
But this dude, T, did it.
Yep.
And unfortunately, the studio got wiped out by one of the many cyclones that goes through there. But,
wow.
Yeah, it was pretty dope.
Cool. I imagine you sat like a rock on your big toe on the knuckle of it.
My leg was so shaky. And I was just apologizing. And, I didn't know anything.
Yeah. What made you just want to get a tattoo? Like a holiday vibe or something, or rebellious, or what?
We'd be there for a long time, so we were almost locals. We'd go every single summer holidays. We were there twice a year for 14 years.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
And I would just draw tattoos all the time, and it was my mum's girlfriend was staying with us, and my dad had left. And so she kind of convinced my mum to let me do it. My mum would never. I could only get my ears pierced when I was 21 and I'd moved out. My mum doesn't have her ears pierced. No one in my family has tattoos. It was pretty.
So you broke the mold.
Yeah, black sheep in the family for sure.
Mate, how old were you when you got that tattoo?
I think I was 17. I'd just finished high school, just about to start art school.
Yes, that's cool. Still underage. Cool, mum, to give it the go ahead.
Oh, but not as cool as the woman that I met in Brussels. She got her first tattoo at 8 years old. Tattooed herself at 8 on the foot. Did her crush's name, and they never got together.
Whoa!
Wild.
One of the best ones I've heard. I used to tattoo this guy called Metalhead Dave. I covered him in skulls, Grim Reaper back piece. Right. He was amazing, right? And I'm like, oh, what was your first tattoo, Dave, after a while, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I think he was 11 or 12, and his mum tattooed a pentagram on his ankle with needle and ink and needle.
It makes me sad when I hear stories about people that would and often it will be that their mother wouldn't let them get a piercing, so they got a tattoo instead, and I can't understand the logic there. It's wild, because you're not even fully grown. Oh,
I know. The maddest thing I've seen is like in the probably 70s, even 80s. I got my first tattoo at 15 and I looked about 11, you know. And but seeing old timers, they'd get cobwebs and hinges at like 13, 14, then they'd grow. So the center of the cobwebs down here.
Wow.
Yeah, and when you see it, you're like, fuck, I can't stop looking at it now. You know, but that's the way it was.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, cool. All right, so then you're 17. Like, were you going to uni? Were you working? Did tattoo just go bang?
Art school.
This is what I want to do.
Yeah, I went to art school. How long was it there? 4 years. Wow, and at the tail end of that, one of my friends I was studying with lived with a tattooer, and he was looking for an apprentice. You know, this is back in the day before everyone wanted to be a tattooer. Before the TV shows. Yep. And so I got an apprenticeship through him, and it was just right when I finished the art studies. Yep. So then I picked up business studies and started the apprenticeship, and it was really quite perfect.
Mad. Yeah, and where was that? Whereabouts are you from in New Zealand?
Right in the centre, Hamilton. Yep. Nothing to brag about.
Yeah, cool.
Think of myself as a survivor.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was there for about 1.5 years before I moved to Auckland, and Stefan Sinclair, Spider, gave me a job at his shop, and then I left the Cherry Creek behind me. I said no more tribal and just doing custom stuff, because that first studio I was at was just flash, and it was huge and so much flash, and it's not what I wanted to do. It's never what I wanted to do. I always wanted to do custom, and it was so hard to get people away from that, you know, even telling them, hey, you can change your color if you want. They'd be like, what?
Nah.
You know. Yeah, so it's come a long way.
I like it. It is a good grounding, but I imagine, like, I didn't come from an art school background, so coming from an art background, your mind's way more open, so you can see the possibilities more than someone that doesn't. So, you know, doing all that flash would have been great to hone your skills, but then you're hungry and you just want more.
Exactly. And I always wanted more. I always wanted to do a new thing that hadn't been done. And being so naive at the beginning, thinking that I could do anything that hadn't been done. Everything's been done. Gosh, my ego at the start. God, I just want to go back and slap myself. But still it motivated me so
we all
much.
want to do that to ourselves, you know. Yeah.
You know, I remember seeing the micro portraits, which are now back again. And thinking it was cool, and then being told no, it's actually not cool. I'm like, I don't know if I believe you. And, you know, color outline stuff, and but man, it was a pretty cool time to start. Actually, it was right at the cusp. I remember we didn't have a computer in the shop. There was hardly any images on Google. You know, we had filing cabinets with stuff and racks of flash, and it was just a very different time. So I've caught both ends, like the tail end of how it used to be and the beginning of how it's become, where it's now the specialist, such a focus on the custom, and really going away from flash, and now people are hungry to do flash again. It's like, man,
I know. Well, I remember my old man saying, oh, you know, I was wearing like acid wash Fabergé jeans when I was a kid, and he's like, oh, I was wearing them when I was a kid. I'm like, no, you weren't. And he's like, yeah, check this photo out, mate. I'm like, fuck. But yeah, everything comes full circle.
Yeah, the mum jeans with the high waist, like, check out how high the better.
There you go, mate. I'm sure. Please tell me, is Olivia Newton-John, "Let's Get Physical" one of your favourite songs?
Not actually. No, but I love the 80s, like, high intensity stuff gets me pumped. But my coworkers are over it. They're so over it. Because I sing, I know every word, and I sing the whole time, and they're really quite over it. You know, we've worked with the same people for the whole time I've been here. I've been here 9 years now.
Fuck, 9 years. Wow.
I know, it's gone like
time fucking flies, doesn't it?
Yes.
Wow. All right, well, let's go back before we get to the start of those 9 years. So, all right, after that, you're in Auckland. Were there any conventions and stuff going around then, or were you doing guest spots, or they weren't really a thing?
First, I have to confess that when I was starting in Hamilton, I heard that the best convention was London, and so I emailed them.
Nice. I love it. You got to do it.
Big dreams.
Yeah,
My
if you
first
don't ask, you don't
convention
get.
was actually in Melbourne after I'd just moved there. In
Yep.
Auckland, there wasn't anything really happening in the time that I was there. I was there about a year and a half, and it was
Yep.
really awesome. And then ended up did my first guest spot in Melbourne, ended up
Yep.
staying in Melbourne, stayed there a couple of years, and then started doing conventions from there.
Yeah, cool. So what took you to Melbourne, just to get out of New Zealand, or that guest spot first of all?
Just taking
and
off those
obviously
things for
test the
my
water.
dreams, my aspirations, do custom, no
Yep.
more tribal.
Yep.
Moved to Auckland, paint graffiti with all my the people that I've always looked up to in the
Yep.
amazing graffiti magazines that used to be in New Zealand.
Yep.
Do a guest spot, do a convention, and so it was just achieving all those goals that ended up
Yep.
taking me there.
Yeah, amazing. Because I remember Nicole used to do in Tattoos Down Under people's workstations.
Yeah.
The photos of it. I was in one after you. I remember seeing you in that. And that was cool. That was a real cool concept.
Yeah, I loved it because I would literally sleep in there. There was lots
Yep.
of times where I'd stay at the shop and paint all night, get
Yep.
a couple of Cooper Green from the bar,
Yep.
and just like order a massive pizza and just paint all night and sleep there. And there was a shower there, and
Yep.
just living like that. It was quite a bizarre time in my life, really, but
Yep.
produced some really cool stuff and really big changes in my career. Those special pieces that really are a next stepping stone and a big change in your career. A lot of them were in Melbourne.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I think that's it. You put your head down and you just become so absorbed. Like everything else gets shut out and you're just on your mission. Like, you do whatever, but tattooing is just the main drive.
Exactly. And painting.
Yeah.
And I got really into
painting. Yeah, 100%. Like, because obviously through your art school background and stuff, you're well versed in a lot of things. Like later on, I'll ask you about like the sculpture, the ink mixing, all that sort of thing. So I think what I'm seeing early is that because of all of that and your hunger, you just push. And
I want it all, and I want it now. So I don't want to specialize, and I don't want to limit myself, and because I don't see any reason to. It's just some rule someone else made up, and I'm no thanks.
Yeah,
I want to do all of it.
Yeah, totally. And that's one of the things, like, you're saying, like, and sometimes you do have to find things out yourself that you can't do that, but you just go for it. And like I think around that time, it was a big changing of the guard in tattooing in Australia. Like, the older shops, there were a lot of new blood coming in, a lot more younger people, a lot more young females coming in, people with art backgrounds, all this sort of stuff. That's sort of when tattooing was exploding.
Meeting these dudes with tattoo studios, and they would say that they wouldn't hire women. I was like, oh, okay. And then a couple years later, full of women.
Yeah. Well, at our shop, I think we've got nine females. So, and I reckon in the future it's gonna go over, which is amazing.
There's big changes in everything. My daughter just started school, and she's in school holidays, the summer holidays, of course. She did a skateboarding course, and it was mostly girls. The best skateboarder there was a girl. One of the teachers was a woman. Like, there's just some big shifts in, these kind of ideas of, what's a male-dominated industry or scene. And people are just like, what a bullshit. No, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's cool. Right. So when you were in Melbourne, like, were you jumping around interstate doing any guest spots?
Oh, yeah, I did so many. I loved it. All over the
Where
show.
were you going? Did you have some favourite shops you were going to?
Friends. Yeah, where would I go? I went to Sydney one time. That was really fun. I do wish I'd gone, now, one of my best friends is Ani O'Leary, and she's there, and I just didn't know her when I lived in Australia. Or maybe she was in Amsterdam at the time. I met Blue and Mim up in Darwin, but I wasn't tattooing on that trip, but met those guys, and, they're just kind of people that I'll consider friends for the rest of my life. And I'd go to Perth quite often and work at 5 Star. Oh, it was fun. It was so fun.
Yeah, cool. Is that Ricky Luda's shop?
Yeah. Hilarious guy. So fun in the shop. That was back when Shane Wilcox was working there. Oh, we had so much fun. It was awesome. Yeah,
cool. And then, all right, so you're doing all that. you know, I know you probably have ended up working at the London convention. Is that correct?
I did. I was very lucky to. Can't remember the circumstances.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did.
But yeah,
I'm
how
very
mad's
sad that it's over, but man, it was awesome. So cool.
But how mad's that? Like, you know, you're writing that letter back in the day and then it happens
I know,
one time.
I wish I could go and find that old email and see what I attached. It was so not good.
Yeah, but you got to do it.
They're
Like,
going to want me. I'm from New Zealand. I'm so exotic. And
yeah. Well, you know, I think, you know, when Aussies or New Zealanders, when we get to the other side of the world, Europe or America, people generally love us because, you know, they don't come across us that often, and we've made a big effort to come to the, especially you in Vienna. I imagine there's not many Aussies or Kiwis around.
No, it's actually really rare. And when I find them, I'm so excited. And I can talk like I would normally talk, like a mile a minute. So much slang. You know, I can cut most of the words off. And like my coworkers just like, don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I lived in about 15, 16, 17 years ago. I lived in Amsterdam for 2 years. Nice. And when I was there were no other Aussies. But dudes would bring Aussies to the shop if they found one. Go, you got to come. And they obviously called me Skip. You got to come and meet Skip. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, cool, dude. And sometimes they would just be bewildered, like, what the fuck am I doing in this tattoo shop? I don't like tattoos. Just because he's an Aussie, I'm here. You know? Yeah, it is kind of nice. You hear of an accent or something, like, oh.
You can hear them from a mile off. Your ears prick up and you're like, oh. It's like home, and it's super crazy. Or even people that learned or lived there for a while, and so their English is tainted with that accent. Yeah. Because in Austria, it's very confusing. I'll have customers, and I'm lazy. I mostly speak to them in English, although I can speak German. And they can have any accent. They can have an American, they can have a British, they can have an Australian, they can have a Scottish. But be from Austria just depends on who is around them when they're learning English. Yeah, it's very confusing. You know, I never assume where anybody's from.
Yeah. True. All right. So how did you end up in Austria? Like, obviously the love story. Do you want to tell us about that?
That's it. So I just decided I want to move back to New Zealand, open my own shop. I knew that when you do that, you can't travel for a while. So I was like, going to get my travel out of my system. First convention I went to was the Singapore Tattoo Convention. And I met so many amazing people there that I built a couple of world trips off of that. But that's where I met my now husband. And he comes up to me. He's like friends with the people I'm kind of learning to know. He says, hi, my name's Fertile, but you're not going to remember my name. And I said, we'll see. And, you know, we stayed in touch, and he was one of my stops on my world trip. We caught up in Amsterdam at a convention there. And then in Vienna, and, you know, thanks to the internet, stayed in touch. We did a Japan trip together back when Crystal was running the Gominiko tours. That's where we got kind of serious. And, you know, I was like not living anywhere for 2 years, just traveling everywhere. God, it was such a cool time. I'm so grateful for that.
The life of the tattooer back in the day.
I went to South Africa. I went all through Europe, Brazil, man, and what amazing friends that I have from those times. I'm so lucky.
Yeah, crazy. So then you obviously go, all right, we're getting serious. Are you going to come with me, or I'm going to come with you?
I was not living in New Zealand.
Right,
you know,
okay,
I didn't have a place. I wasn't living anywhere. So it was a case of more just stopping where I was, you know, I had my bag of stuff. That's all I had. I didn't have a bunch of stuff. I didn't have furniture or anything. I just had my bag, and he just cleared out some spaces for me to put my clothes. I'm like, cool, I live here now.
Nice. Yeah. The rest is history.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard work, you know, learning German and, you know, being very naive. It was actually a culture shock that I didn't expect. I'm like, oh, I'm European. It's a European country. It's going to be the same. But everything's different. Everything's different. It's very religious. And, you know, I was so spoiled after living in Australia and New Zealand. And the customers were so excited, so ready to get something wild that had never been seen before. And Vienna was just the opposite. They were like, touching it, more conservative, don't want something different. No, I want the same, like everyone else. And like their friends had to confer and decide on if it was cool or not. And it was such a pounding to my ego to suddenly go back to not being trusted at all, in my opinion, by the customers. And it was really hard, hard, especially when my co-workers and our guests were doing such cool stuff. And it was so easy. They draw it, they show it, they're working. you know, and me,
Yep.
I had to fight them on every single
like
point.
back at the bottom of the ladder and
That's it.
ladder and go up. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I guess
But now
obviously
I'm
the
flying.
language
It's really
barrier,
good.
the
Pardon?
language barrier probably didn't
most
help
people
trying to
can
win them
speak-
over.
Oh, most people can speak English here. Obviously, my vocabulary is limited.
Yep.
Because you know, in my slang, you know, there's so much New Zealand and Aussie slang that no one understands, and the sense of humor, no one understands. They just think you're very mean, or swearing a lot as well. They don't swear so much here, so that's changed a lot. I don't swear anywhere near as much as I used to. You
adapt to your environment.
Yeah, exactly. But it was while watching Benji talking, it was like fucking.
Oh, no, I
used to be like that. I did. It was all the time. And then of course my husband taught me all the swear words. And so then I was using the German swear words as much as I would use the English ones. And he's like, you don't do that. People don't do that. I'm like, you told me the words.
Yeah, some of the Dutch swear words or curses were brutal. I was like, fucking hell, wow.
I heard there's lots of diseases, right?
Yes. Wishing deadly diseases upon people. It's horrible.
Also in South Africa, one of the worst things is syph, like syphilis. Like, syph.
Yeah.
And then I was using it as a joke, and they were so disgusted, but it's just fun for me to kind of push people.
Great. So, all right. So you're there. You're making your base. I imagine you've both got the travel bug. So did that confine things to just Europe then, or?
No. We went. Everybody at the shop loves to travel, and we would do shop trips together or just trips as a family. You know, we've got our daughter now. She's close to 8, actually, Leela.
Cool. Yep.
And she's been more places than most adults.
Yeah.
You know, she's a very lucky kid. She's been
what an amazing gift.
Yeah, all over. So we've been a lot of places, and we love Japan. We've been to Japan 3 times together, and we did a shop trip to Iceland, and the dudes often will now independently go and do their convention in Taiwan. You might have even met them, Bernard and Manuel.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, very nice dudes, especially Bernard. He's hilarious. He's God, he just comes up with the best stories, and he doesn't even realize that they're the best stories. I'm so gold. I'm so lucky to have these guys. Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, back to your daughter. Is she showing any artistic sort of flair or anything?
She's got her own Instagram. She's very proud. It's Rhys Gordon. I'm going to show you a new painting she just did. I'm so proud of it.
Man, so cool.
This is a wolf in profile.
Whoa.
I love it. And she makes pins, and so she'll sell these, and this is her pocket money for video games and cuddle animals. And this was my birthday present this year. It's this acrylic dragon. It's so sick. I love her stuff so much. And we'll do collaborations, and she's very cool. We went to one of my favorite museums last week, and we were sketching stuff from the displays, and so lucky to have her. And you know, she loves skateboarding, she loves animals, she loves glitter. We got so much in common. She was a rad kid.
Sounds like a dream.
Yeah. Oh, and she tattooed me while we're in New Zealand. She tattooed her little scripty signature, and she's so proud of herself. Like, it's so sweet.
Amazing. So what sort of like pre-COVID and everything, like, because I think you guys were coming back to New Zealand a bit.
Yeah.
And your man got his back done by Evan.
Yeah, no, that was before my visa was sorted.
Yeah.
So I had to be leaving for certain amounts of time. I could be here for 3 months, had to be gone for 3 months.
Yeah.
Which was rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got my back done from Evan, and then I remember my husband Fadil didn't know about Evan's work, and I was like, man, it's so dope. He uses these beautiful bold lines, and they're quite brushstrokey, and they'll not be perfect, and they'll have some little braps off the end. He's like, oh yeah, I know what you mean, don't like it. And I was like, no, it's very cool. It's very cool. No, I know what you mean, I don't like it. And then he saw his work, fell in love with it, got his back to the back of his knees done.
Wow.
And it's so sick. So sick.
So good. Yeah, Evans, man, he's such a legend. Like, he's just out on his own. He's like, out on his own sort of level.
You know, getting my back done from him, would do like full day sessions, you know, just to smash out as much as possible. And, you know, I'd go through phases of being able to talk or just relaxing. But he would just tell me all sorts of stories about what he was like in school, and God, just had such a ball. Or when Phil was getting his back finished, we had the pleasure of staying out with him in Frankston.
Yep.
And hanging with Sherry and the kids, and it was so fun, so fun. He's such a funny dude. He's so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh wait, I gotta
like,
tell you the first time I met him. I was at a bar, and there was a bunch of girls, and we were getting a photo together, and someone grabbed my boob. I turned around and slapped them. It was Evan. First time, he didn't even grab my boob. I just slapped the first face behind me, and then I was so embarrassed. I was like, please, can I buy you a drink? He's like, no.
Well, a slap's better than an elbow. Yeah. Oh, madness, madness. Hey,
yes,
we're getting so many comments coming through here, so
yeah.
I'll try and say, here we go, Griff, yep, slap me, no grab. So we got Davey Blows to say hi to us both, Pino.
Yes, Davey would come and work with us back when he could. Yeah. We had so many cool guests with us come staying at the house, and it's just my pleasure to show them around the city. I absolutely love the city. It's so stupid gorgeous.
Yeah, I've never been, but it's supposed to be one of the most beautiful places in Europe.
I love it. And the museums are absolutely off the chain, and they inspire me so much. You know, just the buildings inspire me so much. You know, all of it. And then being able to travel from here is so easy. You know, to jump on a plane for an hour and being in a total other country, total different food, total different language, clothing, architecture, you know, mannerisms, you know, art, everything. It's amazing. It's really the center of the world here. And coming from the corner of the world where everything was a mission, you know.
Yeah, everything's at your fingertips. All right, so, like, Vienna Electric, you've been there for, what, nearly 9 years now? So you were telling us about the crew, but you obviously get quite a lot of guests coming through and that sort of thing.
Used to,
like
when we could. Used to, yeah. And, you know, we have this gorgeous little apartment very close to the shop and in a very cool spot in the city. And so, yeah, I've had, like, Loz come and stay with us. Oni come stay with us. Yeah, a bunch of my Aussie friends. And it's so surreal. You know, here I'm so far from the life that I had in New Zealand and Australia. It's sometimes hard for me to remember that it was really like that. And to transplant people from my life there to here. So rad. And getting to share, because they invited me into their homes. And that I can do that for them too. I'm so grateful to do that. Yeah,
it's amazing. And you know, and like we all live multiple lives within a life. So it's nice to then, you know, show those people like a new life or something. And, you know, being a local and all that, you see more than just your general tourist stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so
I know
it's
all
super
the cool
cool
stuff.
Yeah. So with your, like, how would your tattooing that you're doing now, like, how would you define it or describe it?
I just know my motivations in it. You know, I love that when I'm doing it, you know, I stencil just the outlines. I don't stencil it with all the shading on there. So when I'm working, I'm actively still creating. I'm still thinking about the shape, the textures, the light and shade. And so it's very enjoyable for me, and I'm very passionate about it. And then my, you know, my goals are like that it sits on the body beautifully, that it has a strong silhouette, because it has to when it's only black. And I want to have like, it should be dynamic. It should say something. You know, I like to have some emotion in there. You know, it really... One of the worst things customers can tell me if they want an animal, and I'm like, what expression do you want? They're like, neutral. That's the most boring thing to me.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, because it's so, like, I was looking through your Instagram, and like, obviously a lot of line-based stuff, but it is so versatile as well, and so diverse, all the images, and like you said, you can see.
Instagram is deceptive. You know, I don't put everything I do on there, because if I put color stuff, I've got like 100 people unfollow me. I'm like, okay, obviously you don't want to see my color stuff. But people that have certainly been getting tattooed by me for many years know that I do color, and I love it too. And so I do a bunch of color. Most of the back pieces that I do are color. I just don't put them on my account. I'll put them on the shop page, on my website, or in my physical portfolio. But it's just not what Instagram wants to see. You know, it's very restricted to this quick little, you know.
Stuck in the box.
Exactly. And, you know, a sleeve doesn't work in that box. You know, there's so many things that just aren't made for Instagram.
Yeah, I wonder what the next thing, or if something has to come along and trump it in the future. Like,
well,
you know, because
the news today, OnlyFans has been pressured by their investors to not have any sexual things. So maybe we move to OnlyFans and put art on there.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Well, so I know some tattooers are already doing sort of OnlyFans or Patreon, but it's more like a secret tattoo school sort of thing. But, you know, the cat's out of the bag anyway. If someone's got half a brain, you know, YouTube has got the answer to everything these days. So,
you know, I think my theory is that really came down to the mass-produced needles, because before you really had to know where to get them and how to do it. And you had to have a jig, otherwise it was very, very hard. And so when those became accessible to everyone in Sochi, that really, let the cat out of the bag, in my opinion, because suddenly anyone could just buy some and then just do hand pokes, because that's the easiest entry in. You know, you didn't have to know how to sterilize anything. You didn't have to know where to get a machine from, although now you can get it from Amazon, but still, you don't know how to sterilize the tubes. You don't know about cross-contamination or anything like that. So
well, I know now here in Australia, you can open up a tattoo shop without a sterilizer, just full disposable everything. And it's almost like the health department's happier if you're doing that, you know. So, madness. Madness.
Yeah, we all use good luck irons at the shop. That's our favourites.
Yeah, we got drawers and drawers of those tubes. They're the best. So, but back to the needles. That was, if you couldn't make a decent needle, you couldn't do anything. You were shit. So, you know, now it's so easy. So,
and while I was back in New Zealand, we were there at the beginning of this year, luckily enough. And I was working at, in a newer studio by Magali, and it's called Love and Hope. And one of her co-workers has just been tattooing for 1.5 years, and she's so darling. She said, I've got a big tattoo on today. It's about 10 centimeters. And I was like, oh, you darling. But, you know, I was telling her about, I was telling her about what it was like when I started, that I would make the needles and we would reuse the needles. You put them through the autoclave and use them again. And her eyes were falling out of her head. And it made me feel very old.
I remember working in probably 15, 16 years ago, a really good shop. And I was like, I'm making all my needles and everything. And it was like big tourist trade. And then I watched one of the other guys, older boy, being there just laughing at me. Why are you making so many needles? I'm like, mate, we got to, blah, blah, blah. And then I went into the sterilization room and I looked at his packet of needles, and they were he had them all bunched in together, hadn't even washed half the fucking ink off. And I'm like, mate, what are you doing, dude? You can't do this. Like, and he was just like, fuck them, they're tourists. And I'm like, wow, you know, brutal, you know. He didn't last too much longer there, but thankfully now.
In New Zealand, when I started, I was already getting tattooed by Dean Sacred. And he wouldn't tell me everything, but, you know, if I had questions, he'd tell me some stuff, and especially some stuff, you know, like I'd bought a couple of machines off him and sent them back because I didn't know what I was doing. Thought there were problems with them. He's like, you need to be using new rubber bands every time. I was like, oh, okay. And I told him about my setup. We had the ultrasonic on the bench, and we put our He was like, you can't do that. I was like, oh, okay. And, you know, I just was really motivated to do everything good as I could, you know, and I was lucky to have, Dean Sacred to look up to. And I'm lucky for that.
Yeah, totally. Like I got tattoo. I got a 3/4 sleeve by Trevor McStay when I was like 21, and he would allow me to ask him a couple of questions each session, you know, but you would think all you know, all the lead up into each appointment, you know, like, oh, what black are you using, and blah, blah, and watch everything like a hawk, trying to learn, and, you know, don't want to ask too many questions, don't want to like wear out the welcome. So different time.
Well, I learned one of the best things is to not even ask questions. You know, there was one convention in Aachen, which is a great convention, and I just sat and watched some friends. It was my girlfriend Gwen Douglas and Danny Green, and I just sat and watched. And although I had questions about why they were doing things, I just shut up and just watched, and I learned so much and just watched them do their thing, and it was just fascinating. It really, you know, I was there for quite some time. It was like a 5-minute thing. And it was awesome because everybody works so differently, and when you sit and really watch closely, which you know, even if you get a tattoo from them, you don't necessarily get to watch closely. So that was really cool.
There's an old saying, like, you can't learn anything when you're talking, sort of thing, something along those lines. Like one of the have you ever come across have you ever come across, I think it's Klaus Furman?
Oh yeah, no, I haven't met him, but do you know Bernie Luther?
Yes, I got tattooed by Bernie
at
the Goa convention a couple of years ago.
Oh,
I was like, he's been one of my heroes since I was like
He's amazing.
17 or 18. I saw him in an Outlaw Biker tattoo magazine. I'm like, wow, who's this dude, man? This cool punk guy traveling the world, you know.
Traveling Bernie.
Yeah,
Well, my
totally.
husband Fertile is working on like a book of Bernie Luther. Dude, you would not believe how much work he has. My husband said, I have to stop going there because he keeps coming up with like stacks of paintings, hundreds of paintings, and they'll stink like cigarette smoke, and they'll be like, but
mate,
so incredible. Anything you thought of, he did it 20 years ago and crushed it, and so technical. It's wild.
Yeah, when I was at that Goa convention, I got this eye tattooed by him.
Well, they
and
age
then
amazingly.
he slipped in like the Om symbol there.
Yeah,
just, you know, purple, blue,
so cool.
blah blah blah. But I'm sitting down getting tattooed, and like some Indian guys are coming around. They're like hunting for like fairer skin to do color portraits on him.
Yeah,
and he's like, I want a white face to do a color portrait. Blah blah blah. Do you want? I said, mate, I got no room. And then Bernie, just so cool, just went, yeah, I kind of built my career on that shit, but realized it doesn't work. So, yeah.
My husband's been photographing a bunch of his older stuff, and I don't know how he does it, but like he'll have like tiny little sharp teeth, and they'll just stay beautifully. Magic.
Yeah. Man, that is the best thing I've heard for ages, that there's going to be a Bernie Luther book, man. That guy.
It's epic. It's like interviews and it's flash, and it's like, he's got so many portfolios. You go to a studio and it's just full of trophies. You know, this was the time of conventions and trophies. He's got all of them, and they're hilarious because some of the spelling's wrong, you know, because it's English, but, you know, not their first language. And the absolute stacks of photographs. And, you know, they're all film photographs, you know. It was also how my portfolio started out, which would be terrible photos, very expensive to develop.
Totally.
But they're just absolute mountains of them. And my husband
that's like
working like a demon
history.
on this.
Yeah, well, for Vienna, he must have been one of the first real good guys. There was another guy I heard of called Schockenwaldi. I'm pretty sure he was from Vienna as well, or from Austria somewhere else. He was like doing crazy biomechy, abstracty face things, but Bernie's the king. Bernie's the king.
Oh yeah, and how they've aged, and he's such a nice dude. The funniest stories. He's got no memory. You meet him, and then you meet him 2 weeks later. He's like, "Hi, nice to meet you." And like, there were times where he's tattooed people, and they're like, "You tattooed me like a month ago." And he's like, "Oh, okay." Oh, but he's a great dude.
So cool. Like Bali is obviously close to Australia. He had a shop in Bali for nearly 10 years. Yeah. So you go to Bali, and a lot of older dudes you see rocking around, old surfers, are covered in his stuff. It's like wild.
And he still has masks that he got made or helped to make while they're hanging in his studio, and they're so rad. You know, we love masks too. Our tattoo studio is full of them. Our house is full of them. And then his own custom ones. It's so inspiring. It's really dope.
Yeah, so crazy, so crazy. All right, so let me get back to my little sort of list. Okay, so sculpture. I've seen you've like been doing mad sculptures as well, and like obviously for a period of time.
I just started. I've never done it before, and I honestly surprised myself. I didn't know that I could do it. I'm like really proud of myself, especially the animal ones, because then they really come to life each stage. You know, especially when you start to put the paint on, and you know that I was doing these commissions of people's animals, and then I was holding them, and they're all so different. You know, even though I'm doing just dogs or just cats, they're so different, and I just love them. But it takes a lot of hours, and it's not really worth the money. You know, if I can be tattooing, I'll be doing that rather than these, but I love it. But I've been doing some resin casting on my own, so learning that. That's something I've wanted to do for a long time, and really proud of my little things that I've been making there.
Yeah, mate. What are you doing that at the shop, or are you doing that at home in your home?
I do that at home. We're really lucky. You know, Austria is a very old city, and it didn't used to be that you'd have a laundry in your own apartment, and so the apartment would have a wash Küche, like a washing kitchen it was called, with big concrete basin where everyone would do their laundry. So this room was it used to be the apartment's laundry, been empty for 30 years. We got a peek, and then we're like, oh, let's see if we can rent it.
We're taking it.
An atelier, exactly. And so we have our little atelier full of art stuff. And, you know, especially when our daughter was little, it was amazing to have. And it still is, but it's just really full.
Yeah, awesome. And then I also saw as well, is this another lockdown project, the ink mixing?
No, that was actually in New Zealand. You know,
Oh,
we'd be
cool.
there from mid-November and do the
Yep.
New Plymouth Convention, which is,
Yep.
I love it. It's one of my favorites. And
Yep.
then have Christmas there. And it was one Christmas present that I got from my mum.
Yep.
And my parents live on a farm, although they're not farmers.
Yep.
And so there's everything out there. And so there'd be like a walnut-based ink, which is like they used in the Renaissance. And on the farm, there's everything. There's walnuts. I'm like, great, I'm going to do it. I have time. I was like brewing it up in the kitchen, feeling like an alchemist. And then another one was acorn caps and rusty objects. So I just go for a walk, find the things, brew it up. And same as like charcoal and gum arabic, like down in the pit that burn stuff. There's a pile of charcoal. So I could do everything. Gosh, just like so much space, you know. It's just night and day from Vienna to New Zealand in so many ways, you know, and the people on the streets to you know, public versus private. So really nice to have both.
So Matt, whoever's listening to this, and you can't help I can't help but be inspired by you, Sam. It's so cool to hear. So just check out Sam's Instagram highlights. Like there's the sculpture and like the ink stuff's super interesting. That's probably something anyone can do, isn't it?
So long as you can get the stuff, it's not complicated. But I would say wear gloves when you do the walnut cutting. Because I didn't, and you're cutting the green walnuts and it looks yellow. It gets on your skin and your skin is dyed. It does not go away until the skin is gone. So I had like strange brown marks on my hands and but it's beautiful stuff. And if you use it with a calligraphy nib, the metal reacts with the ink and it changes color and it's extremely light fast. And if you layer it up, it's almost like a varnish. It gets a shine on it. It's absolutely beautiful stuff.
Yeah, crazy. Hey, also I saw that a few years ago, the guys from Tattoo Tour came through your town.
And they came from
tell us
my
about
house.
that, because I was following that whole thing on Instagram.
It was wild. It was so wild. They were all in my freaking house. All of them. All of them. There was like 14. It was insane. You know, we fed them all and they were so incredibly nice. They were so grateful. You know, sometimes you meet your heroes and you wish you didn't. But these guys were so charming, so appreciative, and they were so excited to be doing this. And we were so excited to have them. And it was just such a very rad experience. You know, they were supposed to come last year but had to cancel. But man, it was dope. Scott Sterling did his machine building seminar like right where I'm sitting, and it went.
Look at this fat beast.
Another chubby boy.
Look at this beast. This is Louis, or we call him G Blob, the big ginger blob. Hello, mate.
Love it.
Look at the size of his head.
House plants.
No pets.
No, I wish. I don't know how I love animals so much, and end up with a husband that will let me have nothing. I don't know how it happened, Rhys.
Mate, you got time. You'll wear him down.
I don't know. It's pretty hard.
Well, time.
What
What is it?
So much.
Time will break time will break the hardest man. You know. So cool.
If we lived in like an apartment or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, not in an apartment. You know, in a house, or in New Zealand. You know, I'd have two of everything. I would.
Yeah. I actually want to get. We're quite lucky. We've got a good size shop. I want to get a shop cat, and I've toyed with the idea before, but a few people have allergies. But I'm like, might have to maybe ignore that and just get one for goodwill and community spirit.
So long as it's not getting up on the workstations.
No, of course not. It'll be very well trained. Like we take our dog to the shop, and the dog's nickname is the health inspector.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love a shop dog. I've been to a few places with a shop dog, but not a shop cat. Oh no, wait, in Istanbul with shop cats. You ever been to Istanbul? Cats everywhere. Cats run the city.
Nice. Sounds like my sort of town. So with the tattoo tour stuff, did the guys come and do a day at the shop?
They did, man. And normally we will have 5 of us working at once.
Yep.
There were 10 working at once.
Yeah.
We had them everywhere.
Just non-stop.
They were everywhere, and they worked so hard.
Yep.
They worked so hard, and the next day they're gone.
Yep.
To another place, working so hard.
Yeah.
They did so many freaking tattoos on that trip, and just
rock and
so
roll.
excited. It was electric.
Yep. Yeah, amazing. What What do you got planned for the rest of this year? Like any conventions on the horizon, or it's sort of unknown, like you were saying?
Year. You know, I do get emails like talking about them. I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know about putting my eggs in that basket. So the rest of the year, I think I'm just going to be working here. Like I've got work for me is going really awesome. I'm just enjoying my customers more and more. And having just amazing conversations with them, and like I get really good at asking questions and like getting really interesting answers from them, and it just makes the time fly. They have a ball and I have a ball. You know, I dress like this for my customers because, you know, it's a really important day for them.
For
sure. But there's been times where I'll see someone the next day and I don't recognize them because I was staring at their butt or something. But they'll remember everything. They'll remember the music. They remember 100%. What you're wearing, what you talked about, and everything. And for us, you know, it happens every day. You can't remember it all. And so I just want them to be as excited as I am, and for them to know it's really special for me too. And I love that. But that's another reason that it's hard for me to go work in Germany. People can't get excited. They don't get excited. And I love to get excited.
Germans aren't known for their humour.
No, they're actually born with one fewer sense than people born elsewhere. They don't have a sense of humor.
It's a tough one. Like, it's well noted. So, but that's
Although I told that to a friend and he said, no, they do have a sense of humor. It's just their sense of humor is like, and then the baby died. Oh God, he told me with that.
Okay, cool. Cool. No, but that's the thing. And like, I've loved it. You know, you saying all that, like, I love it as well. Giving the clients and they generally, they're not even, sometimes not even your client. Like, I'm sure people next to you, they're having just as much fun and enjoying your show with your client, and it all adds to the magical moment of them getting tattooed.
You know, when we're having a good time and, you know, busting each other's chops. They just love it, and I love to see them laughing.
Like that's the thing here. Like, especially people, you know, a lot of people get sit for a full day now, but it's such a big thing for them. Like, they might have, you know, you're a tradie or you're a stay-at-home mom or you're whatever you are. You're compared to us, your day's pretty sort of monotonous. So coming to us, it's like full escapism. It's like, you know, the best day, and they're doing something for themselves forever. And, you know,
I get to go to work looking like this. How many people get to do that? You know, and they just roll with the punches. They're like, okay, you know, they don't even look at me twice most times. I did a full, I used to do consult days. I was painted like a leopard, Rhys. No one said one thing. No one said one thing. I'm like, I'm so lucky to have these customers. They're so
I would have been tempted to go,
jump up from the corner.
or just like run some nails down someone's arm while they're not watching.
Oh, God.
you know, so yeah, amazing. All right. So just sort of, you know, going to power on and get through the year and see what comes, all that sort of stuff. So I've got a few.
With making my stuff, and, you know, I'm getting a pretty good balance between work and life. My husband and I, because we have our daughter, we'll do 1 day on, 1 day off.
Nice.
That means I get to put, you know, enough time into my, you know, I'm doing all custom stuff. It's a lot of drawing
It's a big workload.
Yes, and I still like to read. I still like to, you know, meet my friends and hang with my daughter and not just be exhausted. So I've got a really nice balance.
Amazing, amazing. Hey, you know the project you just put up the other day on Instagram, this book, do you have it handy?
I do.
Yeah, can you give us a run through that? Because, man, it's so fucking smart, Sam. It's so amazing. I was like, wow. It's so like...
I'd only planned to make one. It was just for a flash day. And then I put it on Instagram, and people were like, where can I get it? I was like, I suppose I can make more, of course. And then people have loved it, and it's so fun. It's really
what was the process through that? Were you just doing rough guidelines for the center, or like?
So I did it on the iPad. I have my A4 page. I put 2 horizontals and 2 little scribbles each part where it should meet, and hit those markers. I just had my brainstorming list, what I was going to try. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. And then I came up with 6, and I'm glad I didn't do too many more, because on the flash day, it was pretty overwhelming for people to build it all up. You know, there's like more than 150 different combinations.
Wow.
You know? So for the flash day, it was a bit of time for people to build their own. But it was really fun. And I love the plastic. And it's more durable than a
Yep.
sketchbook, and it's just really fun to hand it over to the customers to do.
Totally.
Because
It's giving them like, you know, an extra added level of input into their tattoo.
Yes, and it was very exciting to see what they came up with. And, you know, it being on plastic, I didn't have to
Yep.
put it in Photoshop to flip it. I could
Straight
just
on the
photocopy it
photocopier.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love
Yeah,
it.
so
I'm already
mad.
planning the next one.
Yeah, like seriously, that's one of the best things I've seen in tattooing, like just out of the ballpark, like for ages. It's so cool.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, well done, well done. It's amazing, amazing.
Thank you.
So all right, I got a few little questions. So you only spent a few years in Australia, and I'm going to work to New Zealand. What do you miss the most about Australia?
Oh, I think just how excited and ready for crazy things they were.
Yep.
God, I did some wild things, Rhys. I
Yeah.
was tattooing a lot of heads, and
Yep.
like they would just let me do whatever. You know, that's where I started doing my etching stuff. No, I don't know many other places in the world that would let me do something where I didn't have an example. I just said etching style, it's going to be shaded with lines, and they were just like, okay, and gave me a chance. You know, it was dope.
Yeah, so cool. All right, what about New Zealand? What did you miss the most about New Zealand?
My friends, you know, they just really get me, and like you know, in Austria, everyone has such a different background. We grew up watching different things, doing different things. It's all very different experiences. And I think when you get to know someone at a very young age, it's besides your music tastes, it's besides your clothing, it's just a deeper connection, and it's really your friends because of who you are at the core, beyond any facades or layers or, you know, your music taste and all this bullshit stuff, or your job. It's a deeper connection. And so I do miss that.
Yeah, that's true. One of my mates just before this tonight, like we grew up together from 8 years old. You know, we live close to each other, but lives are in different ways. You don't see each other that much. Sometimes it might even be 2 years, but when you see each other, it's like nothing's changed. It's just like, you know, he's a corporate guy, I'm the tattoo guy, but, you know, life's just bang. We're just still those two little rat bags from Melbourne when we grew up. And it's like, it's a very special thing. So, and
I think it's harder to do later in life because, you know, for me, if I see anybody like saying something racist, I'm like, no, not a friend of mine. But, you know, if I've known someone for a very long time, it's like, no, I know that you're not really like that. And I'm not so quick to write someone off, you know, just got a, a deeper connection, like I said.
And, you know, that's one of the things I love about tattooing is the opportunities it presents us. Travel is one of them. You know, I was away for 8 years, and it's the best thing I ever did. You know, I had a brain the size of this when I left Melbourne, and now it's this big. So, but yeah, the best thing, just opened my mind, opened my eyes up, everything. I was like, wow, you know, there's more than just this little small suburb. So, good thing.
Like I remember the first time doing a trip overseas, like on my own, and getting to go to Spotlight and meet Bob Roberts and Baby Ray and these guys, and going to get tattooed by Grimy and hanging out with Henry Lewis after, and seeing an exhibition of Bob Roberts and Ed Hardy stuff, and it was huge, and it was like the world became bigger and smaller at the same time, where everything became very real. You know, it wasn't just in a magazine, it wasn't just a name. There were very real people, and there were very real places that you could go and touch and interact with.
Yeah, so cool, so cool. All right, so I do a little bit of a top 10 or a favorite sort of thing to finish it all up. So what's your favorite takeaway food?
Oh, I like them all. Takeaway. Oh, we're very lucky here. We got this really dope vegan burger joint just down the road, Swing Kitchen, and it's so good.
Nice, nice. All right, this is my bad attempt at humor here. What's your favorite Ultravox song?
I don't even know an Ultravox song.
Oh, they've got a big hit called Vienna.
Oh,
what a loser! What a loser!
No, we can talk about Falco. You know, Falco's from here.
No.
The song Amadeus.
Amadeus. Rock me Amadeus.
Oh, he's so big here. So he was from here, and
it's a national anthem. Yeah, cool. All right, tea or coffee?
Coffee. I got it right here in this very
There you go. Very sexy.
Tasteful mug. This is from Gwen Douglas.
It's nice. All right. You did. I think you just said about your local cafe. What's one of your favourite local restaurants?
Oh, it's actually Falco's favourite one. It's called Zum Alten Fassel. It looks like you've just gone back in time.
Yeah.
And it's all Austrian food. They've got this beautiful inner garden that's like inside the building. It's called an Innenhof. It's very common in Europe. And they do this thing called Käsespätzle, which is almost like macaroni cheese, kind of. It's like so much cheese. It's so much cheese. It's good. But that's like, it's hard to be a vegetarian. Well, it used to be hard to be a vegetarian here. You're eating cheese or you're eating meat. But
all right.
It's changing.
What's your favourite colour of makeup?
Neon.
Nice. All right. What about tattoo machines? What are you using? Old coils, or you run rotaries or pens?
Only coils. Only coils. Nice. I have tried some rotaries, but you look at my lineup and it's just BJ Sober and Mark Sender. That's it.
Nice.
It's nothing changes, Rhys. I buy more machines. I don't need them.
Well, we all think that I'm going to get this new machine. It's going to make me better, and it doesn't.
No, I don't think that. I got mine locked
do.
in. I only got like a couple of boxes of needles and like. My daily drivers, they haven't changed in 10 years. Like, it's my setup. I know them. I love them. They work at my speed. They have the throw that I like. You know, anything goes wrong with them, I know exactly how to fix it. I just love them, you know. And, you know, with my little lady wrist and the speed that I work, you know, I can't have a heavy machine or a misbalanced machine or anything like that. So I just love these. And I know if I ever want more, I just get more of the same.
Nice. All right, big question. What's your favorite brand of tattoo ink? Black tattoo ink.
Oh, I use Black Stallion from Workhorse Irons.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been using it for many years.
All right, what's one of your favorite conventions? Because you can't say what is your favorite.
I think these days, well, you know, Paris I did love, but this is sadly deceased. Aachen is a great one.
Okay, is that Andreas Cohen's?
Exactly.
Yes.
And it's the people going there are very excited and motivated to get tattooed. They're not just tire kickers. They're not just showing you a picture on their phone. How much for this? How much for this? And it's not too big. So, you know, as outgoing as I may seem, I do get anxious. And when there's too many people, it's just a bit overwhelming. And I feel like, it's probably easier if I just don't talk to anybody than try to talk to everyone. But there's so few people. It's a very manageable number, and it feels, and the standard of work is very high. And so you can go around and meet people, and it's not overwhelming. It's really dope.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I've watched that as well. Like over here in Australia, like whenever there's a convention on over the world, you just like myself, just stalk the Instagram, and that's a killer one.
Yeah, and they're not using like tattoo models and like hyper realistic tattoos to promote their stuff, which I'm sick of. There's no place for me in that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. What's your favorite holiday or one of your favorite holiday destinations?
Japan every time. Normally I'd want to do somewhere new, but Japan is infinitely fascinating to me. I never get enough.
I reckon I've been there about 13 times and never got bored. There's just so much to see. There's so many levels above and below. You know, fuck, it's non-stop. It's I've been there for a few years. Well, we play a game in the shop. We're like, where do you want to go when you can travel again? And it's like Japan's on the list, but also Korea. I've never been to Korea, so I want to check that out. So, your type. What's some of your favorite types of music?
Oh, like mostly like positive stuff. You know, back in the day when I was very angry, I liked very angry music, and I'm not very angry anymore. But I also love some blues. I love some Stevie Wonder. I don't change my music taste too much. At the moment, I'm very in love with Doja Cat. Do you know her music?
Yeah.
So good.
Nice.
Things that bring the vibe, things that make me feel good and happy, but also some like, you know, not so happy stuff, like some Carpenters or, you know, Elton John, Eric Clapton.
Oh, mate, bring on Elton.
People tour here all the time. I got to see Elton John. I got to see Eric Clapton. I got to see Prince. I've got to see some very Iggy Pop, really cool concerts here.
I saw Elton here in Sydney quite a few years ago. He played in Wollongong, which is like a couple of hours out of Sydney, right? And he's playing in the local like football stadium. And he's so funny. Comes out on stage and he's like, wow, I never thought in my life I would ever say this. hello Wollongong. He was so funny. You know, what a legend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What's one of your all-time favorite songs?
Ooh, Very Superstitious by Stevie Wonder. This is my walking
amazing.
song. I put that on.
Amazing.
It's such a
Amazing.
vibe. Oh, the whole thing.
So good, so good.
I was
so
going to ask what my accent is. My accent is New Zealand, but living in Austria so long that I had to smooth off all the edges so people understand what the fuck I'm saying. Because I started traveling, no one knew what I was saying, Rhys.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how important it was to me to make jokes because nobody got them. And then it was killing me. I'd have to repeat it 2-3 times and it's not funny by then.
Yeah. I get told that I got a weird sense of humor and some people don't get it, but I do. And I laugh at it.
That's most important.
Exactly.
I'm often laughing before I even say it. My husband really clocks me on this stuff.
Oh, it's so cool. Hey Sam, I hate to do it, but we got to go. The time's gone like that. It
was super fun,
mate. It's been so amazing to talk to you. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, I appreciate you. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
It's awesome. And there's been so many comments. Like, I'm sorry to everyone that we couldn't acknowledge or answer. So feel free to.
I want to go back and read them.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. All right, so just message Sam directly or message me, and we'll do our best to get back to you. But I hope everyone's well, wherever they're watching from. But yeah, big love. Thank you, Sam.
Thanks,
see ya.
Rhys.
Bye.
Bye.